Right after my premiere video talking about Miya Ponsetto and the antics that she did, I immediately came onto my computer so I can do this recording because a lot of people were telling me that this chick has a criminal past. Don't they all? So this is the imagery right here, and it looks like there's a Starbucks cup in her car. In case y'all didn't know, there was somebody who spotted her leaving out of a restaurant. And I think it was a Starbucks, but I want to say it was a McDonald's. I'm not entirely sure. It was one of the two, but by that Starbucks cup. But the cup looks kind of empty, like she already drank out of it, and she just never cleaned it out of her car. Who basically spotted her and followed her to her car. And if I can find the audio of it, I'll play it so you can hear for yourself. But the reason why I wanted to come on here is because I came across this article where it says that she has a criminal past. Now, I don't know what this chick has done in the past. We just know what she's done as of recently. But, you know, they like to dig into our past, so we're going to dig into hers. Now, it's amazing because what she did, the acting what she committed happened in New York. She is currently back in her hometown in Simi Valley, California, just walking around scot-free like nobody knows who she is. But that reporter knew who she was, and if you can tell by this image right here, this thumbnail I think came from that video of that reporter or whoever that person was who spotted her, who was familiar with that video that went viral, called her out. And it looks like she's trying to tell them off. But I'm gonna go ahead and read this article and see what else they're talking about. A woman who went viral after a video surfaced of her attacking a black teen, accusing him of stealing her phone in a New York City hotel, reportedly has a criminal past and is now facing a new round of online ridicule and calls for justice against her as a result. Miya Ponsetto was identified as the woman in the viral video that was shot in the lobby of the Arlo Hotel in New York's Soho neighborhood. The video shows Ponsetto behind a manager at the facility as she accuses 14-year-old Keon Harold Jr. of stealing her iPhone on December 26. As he and his father, who was present and taped the altercation, tried to walk away after denying that they had stolen her property, she then chases after them and attempts to tackle the teen. Shortly after the video cut off, it was reported that an Uber driver arrived on the scene to return Ponsetto's missing phone to her. We have to make a little adjustment. If you look at that video, she actually did tackle him. Like I played it in the video that I initially did about her, she did tackle him. Since the incident, Ponsetto, who lives in California, has been hit with charges from the NYPD, including assault, larceny, and attempted robbery, the New York Post reported. Now, she's been hit with these charges. Why was she allowed to leave the state and go back to California? They should have got her right then and there. It's like you brought up charges, but that means nothing if her hands are not in cuffs and she doesn't have a mugshot. Like, her charges are in New York, but you let her flee and go to California. If it wasn't for COVID-19, y'all probably would let her leave the establishment altogether. News of the incident continued to be a topic of conversation on social media, with Ponsetto blasted for defending her behavior in various ways, including by identifying as Puerto Rican and what some saw as an attempt to justify her actions. So this chick tried to say, oh, because she's Puerto Rican, one, she can't be called a Karen. In that aspect, she was acting as a Karen would act. And two, she probably felt like, oh, I can't be deemed a racist because I'm Puerto Rican, I'm not white, excuse me. But there are plenty of people who are Puerto Ricans who have been racist to black people. And in that moment right there, that's exactly what she was doing. She bypassed every other person that was there, because you could look in that lobby and say it was plenty of people there, but she pointed out and targeted the black teen who had a phone in his hand, and she automatically just knew it was her phone. Now, what's ironically, speaking of phones, look what she has in her hand. The phone she claims that the teen stole. The irony. One person said Soho Karen, because that's what they be calling her, thinking that because she is a white Puerto Rican woman that it's okay for her to assault a 14-year-old black child is pure racism and anti-blackness. I hope this woman gets charged and convicted very soon. Others blasted the hotel manager, and rightfully so, for seeming to side with Ponsetto over Harold, especially since Harold was a guest at the property while she was not. Someone says, I'm a hoteler or hotelier. We have training specifically for these kind of situations. She is not a guest of the hotel, thus she is to be removed from the property. Pretty standard at most hotels. Lots of crazy exes show up, etc. Our job is to protect our guests. And someone replied with Soho Karen wasn't a guest, the black family was, and that manager put them in danger. Renewed talk about Ponsetto comes not only because of the charges filed against her, but also the fact that the 22-year-old has had other run-ins with the law. Now, here's the thing. If she had not done what she had did, she, one, would not be getting blasted all over social media, and two, they would not have dug into her past to find this other stuff to link to her. But that's her own dumbass fault. According to the New York Post, she is not the only one in her family to have some criminal charges brought against her. Oh, so it's a family affair. The publication reports that Ponsetto was charged with public intoxication in Los Angeles on February 28, 2019, as well as 4 counts, including driving under the influence of alcohol and driving with a suspended or revoked license on May 28, 2019. She pleaded no contest to DUI on September 28, 2019, and was sentenced to 3 years probation and $390 in fines, or 3 days in jail, or 30 hours of community service if she didn't want to pay the fines. She was also ordered to enroll in a 9-month program for alcohol and drug counseling and was due back in court on January 14th for a proof of completion. So it's pretty obvious just by reading this that this woman has a history of alcohol addiction. I would not be surprised if she was a little bit inebriated during that altercation. Her mother, Nicole Ponsetto, was also charged in the February incident in addition to battery. Both mother and daughter are set for pretrial hearings on January 28th. So look at that. Her mother is also a little tyrant. Now we see where she gets it from. It is unclear how those charges and hearings will affect the cases made against Ponsetto in New York. Ponsetto appears to have no active social media accounts following the incident. Several women have been called out for actions on social media that have seen them labeled as Karens, from incidents involving confrontations over mask usage to others that were seen as racist encounters. A similar encounter in May also took place in New York when a woman named Amy Cooper accused a man named Christian Cooper of threatening her life after he confronted her about keeping her dog off a leash in an area of the park where it was required to have one. That incident occurred on the same day that George Floyd was killed by Officer Derek Chauvin, the terrorist, in Minneapolis after he held him on the ground by pressing his knee against Floyd's neck for nearly 9 minutes, despite Floyd saying he couldn't breathe. That incident, in addition to Breonna Taylor's death and several other incidents around the United States, led to several protests and clashes throughout the following months. So just reading that, we know that she has an alcohol problem. We see that criminal history runs in her family. And it's crazy. She had all of this going on while she knew that she had these court dates coming up, and she still decided to act like a bitch in that moment. So that just tells me all we need to know about her. And as far as we know, even now her mother, that this chick is just spoiled rotten, number one. She's very privileged. And she, in that moment, in all of her entitlement, felt the need that she could run up on some random person she didn't know. Now, what if that boy happened to have a knife on him? He would have been well in his right to cut her ass right there on the spot, whether it did severe damage or minor damage. And I would have been like this on the other end. Bravo. But then, mainstream media would have came after the boy. See, it's this thing where black people aren't allowed to defend themselves even when they're being aggressively attacked, because then they're still seen as the aggressor. Look at how she tried to put herself in the victim role by saying, well, I'm Puerto Rican. There's no way that this can be deemed a racist attack. The hell it can't. Because you specifically targeted this boy. And there's always this stigma that black people are thieves. And she just knew that that was her phone. Meanwhile, her possibly drunk ass left it in the Uber. That's probably why she forgot where it was. She was probably drunk then. But this is all I have right now as far as, I guess you can say, an update on her as far as we know. But her ass should be locked up. I don't know how they let her flee from one coast to go to another coast while she has these charges attached to her name. But y'all let me know what y'all think about this down in the comments. Like, share, subscribe. Make sure you have your notifications turned on, and I will talk to you in a minute. Okay, I wanted to come back on here and add the audio that was sent to me. A shout out to Dark Visitor, because they actually found the audio and they did send it to me. Now, I want y'all to listen closely to what this chick says out of her mouth, especially toward the end of the clip. Now, this clip is only 37 seconds long, and yes, she was at a McDonald's. I thought that's where she was at, but I couldn't tell if it was a Starbucks or a McDonald's, but now I have confirmation because I'm looking at her bag. But listen closely to what she says.
Any regrets about what happened the other day? Any regrets, Maya?
I'm good, thank you. Have a very good day. Take care of yourself.
Well, are you worried? You know, the police are looking for you. Are you concerned about the warrant for your arrest? Why did you do it? You know, he's young. Do you have any regrets?
I'm actually 22, so I don't know what the problem is.
No, but
and I'm also Puerto Rican, so thank you.
Oh, so okay.
Take care of yourself.
Does that justify what you did?
Okay, so y'all just heard that right there, and this audio was provided by something called Lion Share News. I just wanted to give them credit because that's where the audio came from, or the video and the audio, because it's actually a video. But anyway, the video starts out with her walking out of the McDonald's and the reporter spotting her and confronting her. He walked up to her and said, do you have any regrets about what you did? She kind of brushes it off. And this goes back to her arrogant nature from the first part of the video that I was telling you about. I said this chick just gives off spoiled brat vibes to me. Arrogant, egotistical, shallow vibes. And then he goes on to ask her and say that, the police are looking for you and everything like that. Like I told you, she's back in California right now, and she has charges to her name. Why she's not locked up, I don't know. I mean, I can pretty much have an idea, but it is what it is. But the part that got me was at the end of the clip in the last few words that she said to this reporter, in which she pretty much said, I'm 22. Number one, what does you having to be 22 do with what you did? 22-year-olds can do a lot of things. That doesn't excuse what you did. 2-year-olds and 12-year-olds wouldn't even do the stuff that she did. And she's 22. But she's trying to use that as a reason, for why she did what she did. But the kicker, the cherry on top of this melting sundae, was what she said after she told the reporter she was 22. I'm 22 years old and I'm actually Puerto Rican. What did that have to do with what she did? And the reporter asked the question many of us have been asking, does that justify what you did? And she didn't say no. She didn't say yes. She just got in her truck and told the reporter to have a nice day, slammed her door shut, and drove off. She used her age and her nationality to justify what she did to this black boy in New York a few days ago. Yes. If someone, listen, I don't know what the stance is with the mother as far as it's concerned, because everybody keeps asking, if the mother was there, she probably would have put hands on her, and she probably would have. That don't mean that she won't. The fact that this reporter was even able to spot her, even with this face shield on, lets people know of her face. I bet now she's probably going to try to go into hiding, because they found her very easily and not too far off or far along after her identity was revealed. But yeah, this is a stone cold hearted bitch. And you can tell by her criminal history, that's the kind of person that she is. You can tell by how she was raised. I was talking about her mother in the previous part of the video. She is disgusting. And it's plenty, what's so crazy? There's many others out there who are like her. She tried to say that her being Puerto Rican means you cannot classify her as white, nor why would you call me a Karen? That's why she threw that out there. And she probably felt, oh, I'm Puerto Rican. That means I can't be racist. She's basically saying what I did would not be or should not be considered racist. Actually, it was. Because like I said, she singled out this black boy out of all those people in the lobby and just felt the need to run up on him and tackle him to get a phone back that wasn't even hers. And like I said, she now has her phone that was returned to her in the Uber. She never apologized for what she did, and I highly doubt that she will. At this point, she's been so far gone with being unapologetic about the actions that she's done in the past. Why would she apologize about this? Unless they actually give hard punishment to her, which they should because of those charges. But we know how they're going to coddle her. Because if they really wanted to do something to her, they would have locked her ass up immediately on assault charges. She has multiple assault charges, and she has stemming charges from other previous run-ins with law enforcement, with DUIs. But that's all I have to say right about that for right now.